Well, thanks so much for joining us on today's episode of Techbridge on Lagos Television. This is where we put all the dots together to ensure that we leave no one behind. We want to put every dot together to make sure it becomes something meaningful for you as an end user. And eventually you begin to work with technology, making it work for you and not against you. That is what we are all about on this show. We move all around the world. We go to every continent, regardless of color or gender, just to make sure that we have the right information with technology working for everybody. So I am Sheyi from Yola today, and I welcome you to Techbridge on Lagos Television today. So if you ask me, really, being smart is all about having access to the right information. And not just that alone, being able to accept these pieces of information. And that is what makes you smart. Two people can have the same access to the same set of information and turn out to have different results. It's all about their willingness, the open-mindedness that they have. And on this show today, I won't do something different from what we've always done. That is bringing technology to your doorstep. And we're talking smart things today. We're talking about how things are changing. Technology is also making sure that even the tiniest part of our lives is being touched, and we are getting it easier and faster. So if you want to know more about that, just stay with me on Lagos Television. It's still Techbridge. Please don't go away.
Technology, it's a way to go. It's a new normal. It's one of the things that will determine the future all of us are looking. And so as a state government, we're currently doing what we call a 6,000, a first phase of 3,000 citywide metropolitan fiber optics that we're deploying to ensure that not only does Lagos remain a smart city, our educational institutions, our tertiary educational institutions will be a place for reference.
Hi, my name is Confidence Stavely. I'm an ethical hacker. Keep watching Techbridge on Lagos Television.
So thanks for staying with Techbridge on Lagos Television. And before that quick break, I was explaining what it means to be smart, really. And you see that we have a lot of smart things enabled by technology now. Now people are talking, governments across the world are talking about smart cities, building smart solutions that will actually make things easier and faster for us. So one of such components, or let me say one of the components of a smart city is actually smart addressing. You would probably have found yourself in a situation where you have to give your exact location to someone and you have to keep calling the person, turn right. When you get to this junction, you see a black signboard, move 2 streets after that. It could become so frustrating at a point. And apart from the time that you're also wasting your call credits. You might not really see that as something big, but the time involved, and it becomes more serious when it has to do with life. When you've called an ambulance to come to to go to a particular place, or you've called a fire service or security agencies to come to the rescue of a particular situation, and they are finding it difficult to locate the exact place or to find the fastest route to that place they are going to. Well, we have solutions for this in technology, and that is what we'll be talking about today. We're talking about smart addressing system. It is something that comes to mind when you want to talk about smart cities. I'll be talking about key features of smart cities later, but I'm going to pick on this one, smart addressing. And I'm not going to do all the explanation really. I'm going to talk to somebody who is going to do justice to that. So I will introduce my guest few minutes from now, and just stay with me. It's still Techbridge on Lagos Television. Thanks for staying with Techbridge on Lagos Television. So let me just take you straight to my guest. I'm having Timbo Drayson as my guest today, all the way from Nairobi in Kenya. So if you want to know a little background about Timbo Drayson, he's one major person, or let me say the key player when it comes to launching the Google Map in Africa. And from the discussion I had with him before now, he's familiar with Lagos, the terrain Lagos, while trying to map out all the terrains for Google Map. And now he's an expert on his own. He's floating his own thing, and he's putting his voice to smart addressing system, trying to tell us how it works and some of the advantages we need to look out for. So I will not do much of the talking. Timbo Drayson, thanks so much for joining us on Techbridge on Lagos Television.
Thanks, Shay, for me. It's great to be here.
All right, let me pick it from this place that when we talk about a smart addressing system, for most people, especially in this part of the world, it's something that is still far from reality. But I know that in some developed countries, it is the in thing. So let's have an introduction, an overview of what we should understand by smart addressing system.
It costs the world's economy $200 billion a year, and in Nigeria, $2 billion a year alone. The fact that there is no formal physical address system. And, you know, we've all had that moment when we have to give a long set of directions or draw a map to get someone to your house. And that's really frustrating, whether that's getting a delivery, whether that's trying to prove your address to a bank, or even, you know, God forbid, if an ambulance is trying to get to your house.
Okay. So I haven't understood that. So I want to ask, really, I'm going to go a bit technical now, Timbo Drayson. So how does it work really? What is the technology backend to it? Talking smart addressing system.
Actually, on the surface, it consists of a GPS point, and that can always help a driver get close. It consists of a photo of your entrance or property. That's equivalent to a building number or building name in a market that has an addressing system. And then you also have the option to add some text information. So if I live on the 4th floor, an apartment 4A, I can add that to my address. And so once you have that address set up, just a bit like PayPal or other services, you can use that with your phone number and a password with any business.
All right, so haven't talked about the solution and how it connects to the internet and the rest of it. So let's take it a bit further. We see that this is technology. We're talking about how it affects every part of the system. And if we deploy smart addressing system, how does it affect the economy of the nation and probably the cities deploying them? I think that is really important for us to ask.
It's a great question. The key thing is that if you imagine you're a business owner, let's say of a delivery business in Lagos, if when you get an address from your customer, you have to call them up to check that it is actually their address or it's accurate, that costs you money. If you then have to try and figure out how to order your deliveries for the day and you don't have any way to look at that on a map, you know, that costs you money. If your drivers are getting lost and taking multiple phone calls and wasting fuel, that costs you money. And so every trip, a delivery business is essentially wasting money, and that's costing the business and therefore the economy. But also on financial services side, to support address verification or proof of address, businesses have to send a physical agent to someone's door. That not only takes a long time, which is an opportunity cost because your customer can't then transact with your business, but it also costs up to like 1,000 naira. And so again, these are massive costs which businesses should not have to be spending. And if you look at, you know, countries with developed addressing systems, these are costs that businesses don't have to incur.
All right, so having clarified that, so let's pick it from the angle of the investors in this system. So how capital intensive is the technology of deploying smart addressing system? How capital intensive is it?
So there's very little cost from a product or an engineering perspective. The main cost is from a sales and marketing perspective. How do we get awareness into the market for both consumers and businesses.
Fine. I think this is becoming more interesting, but there is a major question that comes to the mind of an average Nigerian when we talk about new solutions like this. Apart from the fact that people have their reservations when it comes to accepting new technological solutions, it also comes to how it affects individual pockets. So how expensive is this as well for any customer or a subscriber to this kind of service? How costly is it going to be?
We believe that an accurate and verified address should be free. We believe it should be a human right, and therefore it should not cost any consumer.
All right, thanks for that explanation. I'm also going to root for the subscriber with this next question, and that is talking about the fact that when we use this kind of solution, we'll be talking about our exact location. We'll be talking about probably the picture of our entrance, the picture of our house. And that brings to mind the question of data security and privacy. So how secure is this solution? If it must be deployed in Nigeria, what confidence should people have in this kind of technological solution that is a smart addressing system?
Well, I think there's two parts to this. One is the security of the data. And then also the other part is the privacy. So let me tackle the first one around security that you asked about. From a technical perspective, we make sure that the data is as secure as, you know, your bank account, you using your cards online, etc. So we use state-of-the-art encryption to make sure that your data is protected for you. One way to also think about the security aspect is that today, when you give your address, let's say you call up for the local delivery person, or you give it over online, you have no control or insight into how that addressing data is being used. The business can sell and resell and do whatever they want with that data, and you have no control out of that. And this is something that we think is really, really important, and we give not only the security, but also now the privacy protection for you as every consumer to be able to have control of your address. And that is a significant step change to what exists today, which is very, very hard for anyone to manage.
Well, that is reassuring enough. So let me pick you up on this. You championed the launching of Google Map in Africa and probably Nigeria. From the discussion we had before this show, you mentioned that you are familiar with Nigerian terrain because you handled that project. So with that background and this smart solution that we should be expecting, do you foresee any challenge in this sector in deploying it or any other way?
I think, you know, I was at Google for 7 years and led the launch of Google Maps across emerging markets. And following that, I actually took 3 months off and traveled around East and West Africa. So I actually backpacked around Nigeria for 4 weeks in about 2013. And that was really when I first getting to terms with the problem. I would observe what it was like for delivery businesses, ambulance services. And so a big part of this is to make sure that we really truly understand the problem. And we've been doing this now for 6 years. And while we spent most of the time making this work in Kenya, we've also been made sure, and you know, we visit Nigeria at least 2-3 times a year, constantly doing market research and user testing to understand the problem and make sure that the technology that we're building will not only work in Kenya, it will also work in Nigeria, but also for the other, you know, 4 billion people in half the world where this problem exists. So we're really confident that the technology and the solutions that we're building are scalable and actually will work anywhere in the world. It's up to the Nigerian businesses and consumers to adopt this. It is a new technology. It's a change of behavior. And what we need is, as I said, business owners and consumers to trust this, try it, so that we can prove the success and grow within the country.
Okay, so let me still go back to the customers, the subscribers to these kinds of solution. So apart from the fact that it's going to help them have their locations, their residence better located and have easy access to whosoever they want to give it to, probably transacting businesses. Apart from that, what other advantages should we be looking out for when it comes to smart addressing system for individual consumers or subscribers?
The advantages that are the ones I spoke about. I think what we see is that if you don't have a accurate or verified address, your life is held back in various shapes or forms. And it could be the frustration of getting a delivery to your door, but it could be as important as being able to get a larger bank loan, because with an OkHi address, you're essentially more trusted. And with that, it means that the businesses can give you that bigger loan, which you wouldn't otherwise be able to access. And perhaps last, but probably the most important, is ultimately from an emergency service perspective. Talking to a Red Cross ambulance driver, they're saying that they get so lost trying to find someone's house that sometimes it's too late and the person's dead.
All right, I must say thanks so very much, Timbo Drayson, for talking to us on Techbridge on Lagos Television, sharing your thoughts, sharing from your wealth of experience when it comes to smart addressing system. We can only wish you the very best of success in your new path.
Thanks so much for having me.
Well, that was Timbo Drayson, and a big fish in the tech space when it comes to mapping out things and deploying technological solutions to a lot of things. So he's shared his thoughts about a smart addressing system, and I'm sure that someone is enlightened. Personally, I think I'm getting interested in that as well, because it makes it easier if you really want to order for products or services, or you want to transact. The part I really love about that is the part of trust. The trust you're going to earn from financial services or whoever is transacting business with you, either as a business or as an individual. So that comes handy. And I think we should begin to brace up ourselves for this deployment whenever it becomes available commercially in Nigeria. A lot of solutions are out there, and I'm sensing that we're going to have much people, more players in this sector. So talking about smart cities, I told you earlier that smart addressing system is just one component of a smart city. And I'm going to reel out like 6 features that you should expect from a smart city. But in the first place, I should explain that from what we know, a smart city will promote the use of technology, of course, information and data to enhance and improve its infrastructure and services. And that is talking about access to resources like water and electricity, homes that are affordable, provision of proper education and health services, and of course, increased connectivity with IT. That is information technology. And I'm bringing that home, and you see that Lagos State is doing a whole lot in this sector with the deployment of the 6,000 kilometer fiber optics across the state. And the first phase is ongoing now, and that is driving the state towards a smart city. Now, moving further, there are other key features that we should be looking out for. If you say Lagos or any other city is going to become smart, and really, if you ask me, smart cities drive on a mission to promote economic growth and enhance the quality of life of people by development and redevelopment of local areas and harnessing technology to generate smart outcomes. That is according to bwsmartarticles.businessworld.in, and that is one of the great articles I've seen so far talking about smart cities, and it makes it so simplified to the point that even as individuals, we can begin to think how we can become smart as individuals, as a business, as a corporate organization, our residents as well. So let me go straight to the 6 features we should be looking out for when we want to describe a city as smart. So like I mentioned earlier, that a smart city will promote the use of technology, information and data to enhance and improve its infrastructure and services. That is the very first point. And the second one we're looking at when we talk about a smart city is the fact that a larger number of government services will be made more accessible to people. And that is talking about the fact that these services will be offered online and will provide more accountability, transparency, and more involvement of the public. It means that it's not going to be centralized, it's not going to be analog, it's not going to be cumbersome, it's not going to be by protocols or a lot of bureaucracy in the process. It's going to be simplified, decentralized, using technology as a leverage. And that is the second one we should be looking out for when we are describing a city as being smart. The third one is also germane. People need to move around. and that is talking about transportation. And a smart city will increase access to public transportation and creative solutions such as smart parking, intelligent management, and integrated modal transport. And smart cities will be more pedestrian and cyclist friendly with key administrative services at shorter, walkable distances. Still picking from that article I mentioned earlier, it means that not every one of us will have to drive his or her car on the road. We're going to be smarter because the public transport is going to be very accessible and very easy, and of course it will be pocket friendly. And beyond that, we don't have to go through the bus or the car. Really, we can cycle to wherever we want to go to, and all of this will be made provision for by the government or by private investors. It's going to be a collaborative effort between the government and the private sector to ensure that the smart city is actually realized. Of course, some people say that government has no business in business, but they have to regulate. So if we come to that, we realize that we'll be calling for more investors if we must achieve a smart city, and that is ongoing. That is what we could see in some cities that have actually achieved that. That is the third point. So moving on, I will say that the next point we should be looking out for is the fact that smart cities will redevelop and develop unplanned and poorly planned areas such as slums with a vision to make cities safer and less disaster prone. And that is with the use of video surveillance. Criminal activity will be tracked and drastic security measures will be taken to protect women, children, and senior citizens. That is talking about security, talking about smart security. I think we should talk about that in subsequent episodes, talking about smart security, because it's a key component of a smart city. So if we are talking about a smart city, security can't be out of it. And of course, redevelopment of key areas that are probably not so well structured out to ensure that it conforms with the blueprint of a smart city. That is number 4. The next one I'll be talking about is talking about urban air effects will be reduced by creating and maintaining parks, playgrounds, and recreational spaces. And of course, living spaces will be made to accommodate the growing population and also enhance its standard of living. That is the 5th one. The very last one here, talking about key features of a smart city, is the fact that infrastructure will be more sustainable and eco-friendly by reducing the amount of waste generated and also through mindful consumption of natural resources. Added to that is the key feature of the ability to properly recycle the waste generated. So all these and more are the key features of a smart city, and I've just focused on one of such components, that is talking about smart addressing system. It also affects security, it affects economy, it affects deployment of technological solutions when it comes to economy, and it also affects urbanization and proper mapping of key areas. So if we really want to work smart, we must begin to think smart and act smart. And these are the ways to act smart. We don't really need the government to do everything. We need to take those decisions by ourselves and begin to accept the new reality so that at the end of the day, we have technology working for us and not against us. So that's our show today. Many thanks for joining us. Remember that Techbridge is available on Facebook. We are Techbridge LTV. And on YouTube, we are Techbridge LTV as well. So do remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel so that you can have a prompt of this fresh episode and all other previous episodes. You can even watch them again and again. So till some other time, keep innovating, keep leveraging on technology, and keep achieving more. I am Sheyi Fumiola today. Bye for now.